So hi guys, welcome to issue 29. This is going to be another short one. It's just going to help me catch up on the issues that I've got backlogged. So this one deals with Runelord Brass and Barak Burgundy. I'll show you the pots now and then we'll have a little test later on. So this is a beautiful colour. I really do like this. I used this a lot when I was painting Chaos. It's a really nice brassy colour, very deep, very dark and rich, really shiny. The other colour is a colour that I like, but it wasn't really much call for it, but it's a burgundy. Citadel have changed their colour names since I was last painting, and I can't remember what this is similar to, but this is Barak Burgundy. As I say, we'll have a little play with those a little bit later on. So let's have a look at the magazine. So, oh wonderful, we have a section on the realm of chaos. Beyond the borders of the cosmos lies the realm of chaos, a hellish dimension where the dark gods rule and nightmares are made real. The landscape of this realm constantly shifts from one terrifying vista to another, from waterfalls of human blood to labyrinths of mirrored crystal to festering gardens of disease. Now, what is not to love about that? Right, so we have tears in reality, lands and nightmares, war. See, chaos is always at war. So obviously, if you don't know who to fight with chaos, because they're always wanting to war. Then we have Battles Part 1. In the Blight War, Nurgle's demons battle with Sigmar's Stormcast Eternals for dominance over Gahiran, the realm of life. So that looks interesting. Lots of pictures of painted models. Now guys, don't dismiss this, because look, you've got lots and lots of pictures of models. Use them as inspiration. You know, we may be painting our figures one particular colour, but have a look at other pictures. Have a look on the internet. It's all inspiration. So we have a section here on the realm of shadow, and then we have more on the realms. Use these tables to deepen the backgrounds of your models, and that's something I touch on, but I don't really sort of talk about. I always used to like to attempt to give a backlog story to all of my characters, how they became what they did. I don't bother with rank and file troops, but I may have a particular figure that I quite like, and I might build a sort of small story, and then as I do my battles I might kind of oh, that particular figure there, he's actually now, that character has become this leader, and then he's become this one, and then sort of you evolve his growth. So we have how to paint, and this is a little guide. We're introducing the burgundy now. So the burgundy is mostly going to be used for the stormcasts. I wish I could do something about this lighting, but this is I'm actually in a hotel, so I can only do what I can do. So we have a bit more done on the stormcasts, and then we now go on to the destruction models. Again, there's burgundy being used, and there's some brass. I'm not actually going to paint any figures today. I will do, once this series is finished, I'll look at painting. So we'll go back over the whole series, and then we'll try and paint some things. In fact, I might actually go back and I may do each issue as a part 1 and a part 2. Tell me what you think, guys. So if I went back, because it's not too late, we're only up to issue 29, so maybe I could do issue 1, which is the building, obviously I've already built. Part 2 will be the painting, then on to issue 2, build, issue 2, paint. I think that would be quite good. And then obviously when we have a paint issue, we just look at the paints, so that will only be a one-parter. Tell me what you think, guys. I think that's a fantastic idea, and it will stretch out the Warhammer an awful lot, because obviously going back is going to be awkward. If we do decide to do that, I won't be able to do it until, say, maybe issue 35. I do have to build a schedule a little bit ahead. But yeah, I think we could certainly do that. So that's something I would look into doing, no problems. So we have more about the rules. So page 9 of the rules. So now we're talking about terrain, scenery rules, defensible terrain and wildwood terrain. Then we have a little bit on the tactics. So you'll get tactical tips of making the most of your order forces on the battlefield with tutorials for your Stormcast Eternal Slaanesh and Caradon Dron Overlord units. In this guide you'll get an in-depth look at the core of many Stormcast Eternal armies, the Vindicators. Now, something to know, if you were to break down the game of Warhammer to its most basic form, you essentially have a game of paper, rock, scissors. And what I mean by that is that you will have one unit which is very good, say unit 1 is very good at taking out unit 2. Unit 2 is very good at taking out Unit 3, and Unit 3 is very good at taking out Unit 1. So every single unit has something that's good against and something that's very bad against. And the tactic really is to, if you're in control of Unit 1, you want to get that Unit 1 into an attack with Unit 2, but at the same time avoiding Unit 3. Whereas the other side may be trying to get Unit 1 in, but trying to get Unit 3 in to do most of the work. A really good example of that might be you may have a unit of something that's very powerful at hand-to-hand combat, and then just behind that you could perhaps have a unit of something, you know, maybe they use spears, so they have that extended reach but they're very weak, but you're actually using your powerful hand-to-hand combat troops as a shield. And it's all about the tactics. You know, you're not just going to fling everything in. I've always found that when I just go gung-ho, which is actually a bit of a chaos tactic, I find I don't do so well, and it's all about utilizing certain strengths. So here we now have, to even the balance, we have a little bit about the destruction tactics, how to use your destruction troops to their full potential, and then we have a scenario on pitch battle. And in the next issue, which I will talk about the next two actually, although I might be doing one issue, issue 30 is Hoggrot Splitters. I believe we've had some of these before, so we're actually going to bulk up our units. And then we have some more Vigilors. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronunciations. So these, I don't recognise these poses, but I do recognise the name Vigilors. So is that another unit that we're using? And then obviously we have this extra section here on the Realm of the Heavens, which is a nice little... They don't include these in the magazine because of the size of them being a pull-out. But again, picture heavy, and use the pictures as inspiration. So guys, right, on to the paints. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using my normal milk cartons, because they are very good at demonstrating what the colours of the paints are like. Now I'm going to do the burgundy one first, because I don't think the burgundy is quite as exciting as the brass. And by that I mean I love metallic colours, and I love metallic colours that can be used with chaos armies. So whereas I'm saying the burgundy isn't going to be quite as interesting, you may actually be saying the brass one isn't as interesting. So there we go. So what I've tried to do here, guys, is I've tried to put the paint quite thick and then draw it down so it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, to hopefully give you the range, what it looks like solid, and what it looks like nicely thinned down. And there we have, the camera isn't really doing it any justice, but you can see it's a nice reddy gungy, it's kind of almost grey. I don't know if you can see a sort of a grey sheen to it. It's a slightly drab, it does look duller in on the camera, but it's definitely a purple, but it's just got that little bit of, is it drabby, is it trying to be bright, is it trying to be drab, who knows, but it is a very, very nice colour. Right, so let's give our brush a really good wash, because we don't want to contaminate the colours. And this, I'm hoping, will blow you away. I do think it's a lovely colour. Now, another reason why I've chosen the metallic last is when you're using metallics, do try to have 2 pots of paint water. This is my paint water. Obviously it's contaminated with the purple, but so I'm going to be a little bit naughty, and I'm going to pop this. I'm going to use the dirty paint water. But so when you first look at this, I think it doesn't look interesting. As you can see, it actually looks like a paint. It doesn't look like a metallic paint, but the magic happens when you actually use it. So there, it just looks like a brown, an ordinary brown, maybe with a slight sheen to it. But once you actually paint with it, now it's not going to come out so good because it's on white. Metallics do work better on a black. I'm just going to pop more on there. They do work very, very well on a black. In fact, I'm just going to grab at random one of the models that I did in previous weeks, and I think we will actually paint with it. I think it's going to do more justice if we actually paint. And I forgot to say, this is a base paint. And again, this Burgundy is a base paint. So this is what the paint looks like on a white piece of plastic, and it does look, again, the camera's not really doing it any justice. I want to just make that a bit thinner. These Citadel paints are surprisingly thick, and you get so much mileage out of them. Right, so I'm going to paint onto the black, and that's only 1 coat, but again, can you see how that's just really come to life? And you compare it to this, and you compare it to the pot, it's a little bit lifeless, isn't it? And you'd be forgiven for looking at it and thinking, well, that's not really good paint. But look, once you've actually painted it, that's 1 coat, and that really does look brassy. Now what I'm going to do for second coat is I'm only going to paint half of it, because I just want to show you the difference a second coat makes. In fact, actually I'm going to do 2/3 of it, because then I think we can get a third coat. So there we go, guys. That is a second coat. I wonder if I can turn this daylight at the moment. No, that's not really working, is it? I wondered if maybe I could get the light in. So look, there's 1 coat. Looks nice. But 2 coats, how amazing is that? And then we just give that a minute or two, and we'll give that a third coat. I am cheating, I'm painting a little bit too quickly, but look, you can see, I mean, people edge their bases usually in, say, green or brown, but to be honest with you, I think that brass looks really nice. Or maybe you could edge it according to their rank, so maybe most of your rank and file troops can just be done in an earthy brown, just to make it look like you've pulled him out of the ground. And then maybe this nice brown earthy brass colour could be used for hero models, and then maybe a general can be done in a gold. Not always necessarily a best idea. So that was a little bit thin, so I'm going to put a third coat on, and that should really make that nice and solid. certainly more solid than before. So even with the bad camera, you can see how it really is a beautiful colour. I am very biased towards brass because it's a chaos colour, but look, there's one coat which I think you'll agree is very nice, but it is a little bit see-through because I've thinned it. Remember, you always want two coats, one coat to establish the colour, and the second coat will just be a nice solid one. Once we get to that second coat, there we go, still a little tiny bit washy, and that's because I tend to over thin rather than under thin. And then once we get to the third coat, look how nice and solid that colour is. And I think in this particular case I may even need a fourth coat. But yeah, so sorry guys, I have spent a lot of time on the brass, far more than the burgundy, which just goes to show my biasm. But I do really like that colour, and that's really excited me. Right guys, so that is it for this issue. So I think we will do one more single issue next week, and that will be the Hobgrots Slitters. And then we'll go all the way up to 35, by which time I think we want to be looking at doing painting and making. The original plan, I mean obviously the original plan was to do exactly as the magazine said, but it's very, very hard to complete that in a week. Now what I'm doing at the moment, showing you these, I can literally knock a video out in 10-15 minutes. The painting takes a lot longer, so between, you know, I'll effectively be producing a magazine a fortnight. So if you do want me to do actually paint the models according to the magazine, I can do that, and but I will go back to an early issue, and I'll start producing a load of part 2s, part Bs, and then once we get to issue 36, each video will be issue 36 part 1, issue 36 part 2, and so on and so forth, with the exception of the well, actually not even with the exception, because as you can see from the paint issues, what it tells us to do is to go back to previous issues and repaint parts that we haven't done the first time. So and to be honest with you, these paint issues are nice because you're only painting with the colours that you get in that issue. Right guys, so as I say, I will leave it there. Next video will be issue 30, Hobgrot Splitters. Tell me what you think about the idea of splitting the videos into two, but including painting, and I will catch you in the next issue. Take care then, bye bye.